The spiders are very, 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 very close to a lifetime high, but not quite there yet. There's the dashed line, which represents that high. We are just below it right now. We had made that high back on February 19. So we've got this extraordinary V going on here. Almost the exact same amount of time, too. The plunge from here to the bottom was almost the exact same amount of times from the bottom to, well, right this second. So for what it's worth. As I said, NVIDIA cutting above to a lifetime high, finally beating the peak from January. Nothing else to say. I mean, Jensen Huang richer than ever, and NVIDIA employees loving life. The cubes have noticed that. I will mention that they are still right at the trend line, the broken trend line. So this is an important decision point. Will it break free? Will it blast above it, or is it going to poop out at this point? Micron this evening might inform that a little bit because the semiconductor sector is still very, very frothy. And we'll see if Micron helps add some fuel to that or splashes cold water on it. But SMH for the moment is doing very well. It isn't at a lifetime high yet, but it's getting close. Let's just drop down a horizontal to keep an eye on that. That red line there shows the distance between the lifetime high on SMH and where we're at right now. But it's been pretty much straight up since April 7. We were down at 170. Now it's at about 274. So $104 added in just a couple of months' time. AMD also shooting straight up. We still have a series of lower highs on this. This is the lifetime peak back in March of 2024. So there's the lifetime peak, lower high, and prospectively another lower high here. It would take a lot to beat that prior lower high. So that trend is still intact, that downtrend. But as you can see, it broke it here. This is a bunch of lower highs, and eventually just shook loose of that and just pushed on to much, much higher. For anyone curious, Intel is still in the doghouse, even though it's part of the hottest sector on the planet. Intel is acting very much like a has-been, just flopping around in the lower 20s there. Amazingly, the same price they were back in the 90s. So really, really, I mean, literally biggest bull market in history, and Intel is still priced back in the prior millennium. Wow. Some stocks recently, though, just don't seem to know what a downtick is. I look at hundreds of charts every day. This is one that sticks out. Ava Technologies, AEVA, just a rocket ship. Roblox down a little bit right now, but on the whole, it's very hard to see any downticks. So this is just almost a straight. You could put a piece of twine on your screen and it would hide all those price bars. It's so sharp and unyielding. But those kinds of things don't necessarily last forever. I mean, I've been mentioning Circle lately, which is doing amazing. But, and like I said, I don't trade this. It's way too little history. But you can see that it's just a game of hot potato because someone paid almost $300 for Circle 2 days ago, and it's lost a third of that already. I mean, think about that. 2 days ago, and it's down a third. So red hot stocks can get blue cold, I guess, is the converse of that. So yeah, Circle, and I've read some about this company. There's not a lot of there, but it was a very hot narrative behind it. And it's one of those things like a year from now, it'll be really interesting to see kind of where that wound up. But it was just white hot for our first couple of weeks there. A little more history to it, but also the same point. Duolingo was just could do no wrong until round about here. It got about over $500, $544 a share back a couple of months back, and it's around $400 now. Not nearly the drop that Circle. So I mean, it took over 2 months to lose much less than a third. But the point is that it is, musical chairs, hot potato, whatever metaphor you want to use, with these stocks that don't have a lot of history but have a lot of chatter going on behind them. One thing, speaking of chatter and popular memes and such, I toyed for about a half a second with the idea of shorting quantum computing QUBT. As a chart, it's really tempting because, fundamentally it's crazy expensive. I mean, there's no PE, obviously, because there's no E. It's probably not even R at this point. This is just extremely speculative. And as a chart is the gap that I like. The gap's right here because this has been going up and up and up and up. It had a gap down. And like I said, I was thinking about maybe shorting it with a stop just above that gap. And I bet it works out. But I've seen too many of these quantum stocks leap 20, 30, 40% overnight. That no thanks. I don't want to risk that. This is just too crazy. But just throwing it out there. Maybe somebody who's lonelier than me who wants to give that a shot. On to more sensible matters. Here's gold miners, precious metals miners, GDX. And I pointed out yesterday, speaking of gaps, that we had fallen, and then sealed up this gap nice and neat. This was the price gap like so. Maybe we got a penny or so below it. 50.72 was the gap itself. 50.70. Okay, 2 pennies. Yeah, I guessed it right. So that was a nice seal, and we found some support there, and so we're starting to push ahead now. The junior miners, same idea. Got a little below the gap, sealed it up nice and neat, and recovering from that. What's way more interesting to me, though, is my pal, Palladium. This morning, it was looking kind of grim. Palladium was down like 1.5%, but the poor little fellow has been fighting his way back. And, this is, we're a long way away from a stop. I mean, the only real failure point here would be slicing below. I'd say $93 would be throwing the towel price. And we're at 97 now, so it's a ways off. But we did have some weakness earlier today, but as you can see by this candlestick, we've been fighting our way back, and we're near the day's highs, or at the day's highs right now. Palladium's up, getting close to 1%. So it's gone from negative 1.5 to almost plus 1, so yay. I've been kind of enamored with Palladium lately, and I was monkeying around with some ratio charts, and this is one that I created that I wanted to share. This is Palladium divided by the US dollar index over many decades. And as you can see, we had a nice base here, followed by a tremendous rally. Nice base here, followed by, yes, tremendous rally. And a nice base here that isn't quite complete yet. We're working on it. But it's similar in shape and size. And the distance is kind of the same too. If you sort of look here, this was back around late 2008, around the center of that base. Here we've got 2015 late, so that's about 7 years. And so 7 years after that would have been around 2022. So a little bit late for that, but roughly the same. Roughly about 8 years or so between these bases and the current base. So fingers crossed, we'll see if that works out. I sure hope so, because there's a lot of things I like about Palladium. Oil has finally stopped plunging. USO is up 0.42%. It's kind of been beaten down to a more, it's not overbought, it's not oversold, it's kind of a more copacetic level there. Although XOP is red. And I've got to say, XOP looks more vulnerable than oil does. And this is even with the chatter about BP getting bought, but XOP is down about 1%. And it's not a great setup, but I would say it's a pretty decent short setup, provided it doesn't violate the dash red line that I've drawn right there. And on the whole, looking at crude oil for a much longer term perspective, it ain't super safe. I mean, this is still might complete that right triangle pattern, which would be kind of doom and gloom for crude oil. So yeah, definitely energy is not out of the woods. It's had some craziness the past couple of weeks. But still could work out for the energy bears out there. What else is going on? Well, this is only obliquely related, but I also wanted to say I'm short XLB, the materials ETF. Tighten up my stop on this one, that red dash line there, a little bit above. My stop loss is at 88, but I like this diamond pattern that I highlighted. And so far, so good. We're also kind of teetering at this trend line right here. So there's a couple of nice items to recommend this as a short idea of XLB. Speaking of shorts, and I've kind of loaded up on positions again, and as I said, most of them are down today. Here's just 3 or 4 of them. This one I just got into, Avis Budget car. Not a beautiful setup, but this has been just nuts because this has gone from around 55 to it's gone over 200% just since about 3 months ago. I don't know why, but this is you would think a rental car company would be a pretty dull stock. No, this thing is bonkers. And so it's blasted higher. So I've got a small short position on this. Pretty tight stop on that red dash line right there. Also short, I was already short Caesars, CZR. There's the, what do you call it? Failed support right there, that red line. Fluor Corporation, FLR, like so. You can see the quick ascent on that one as well. And fond as I am of the cars, I did take advantage of the robotaxi zeal yesterday morning. I shorted Tesla yesterday morning, and yesterday was down, today's down. It's not a super clean setup. I'm not quite sure where I would exit this. I guess if we got down to the fibs here, I'd probably get out. So very short-term trade, but that's going okay. But as I said, if my data is correct here, Micron does report after the close. This gap has been sealed. No position on this. In fact, of all my positions, I think I've got one semiconductor position on semiconductor ON. It's a little too frisky for my liking, semiconductors, but there's Micron, so let's see what happens there. But more broadly, here's the ES. As I said, we're just right at the tippity top of its lifetime range. So we're pretty much matching what we had seen late 2024, early 2025. And the NQ, we're sneaking above just by a little bit the prior peak on that one. But as I keep saying on a daily basis, my main interest is up in the small caps because it's the cleanest pattern to me. It's the cleanest analog, and it's squirrely. It seems to just leap up and down a little bit day to day, which keeps us all guessing. At the moment, it's pretty good, but you never know with this creature. But it's still unclear. So as you can see from the analog here, we're still in the green. And if you don't mind market gods, let's kind of slip that sucker lower.